Without further ado, we'll go ahead and get into our talk on dealer logins today. And everyone's seeing my screen. Good there.
Yep.
All right, great.
Good.
So this is what we'll cover. It's not going to take up too much of your time unless you guys have loads of questions and feedback, which we would welcome. But we're going to go over what a dealer login is, a little bit of the simple setup, and then a couple of key considerations. So the goal of the dealer login in Action Flow is to streamline the process between kitchen and bath companies, your dealers' accounts, to have them generate a quote for the end customer on your behalf. So trying to eliminate the back and forth and going in between that can happen, and hopefully streamlining that process. So that is what we've set out to do. We've had a version of this available for a number of years, and folks are using it, but we hope that with a few tweaks, strategic tweaks, we've made it even easier and even better to use. So speaking of using it or using something in a similar capacity, does anyone currently have something in place that they'd like to share about? So does anyone accomplish this in any other way currently where your dealers are generating quotes for you? Going once, twice.
Hi, Josiah.
Hello. Hey,
This
Hector.
is Heck. Hi, how are you?
Great.
Yes, we actually did. Just before we started using Action Flow, we used to use another software uh, that basically handled only quotes and sales. And it was limited in that sense, but it had a great application for dealers to log in and work their quotes themselves. It's called Quick Quote,
Okay.
and it had the Quick Quote Lite version, which was a URL that you would post in your website, and dealers would be able to log in, and in a very simple interface, they could work out designs and quotes that then you would receive in your back end.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I don't know if I've specifically heard of that one, so that'll be good to investigate and just see. Are you still using it then, or no?
No. We quit using it when we switched to Action Flow. But I do remember when I started working with you, I mentioned it to you because it's probably one of the things that we miss the most from that older software.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. Well, hopefully this will replicate a lot of what Quick Quote does, and we'll be moving along.
Yeah,
Anyone
okay.
else? Yeah. Thanks for sharing, Hector.
Okay.
Yeah. Hi, Josiah, Alan here. We
Hey.
use a custom website design that we created ourselves that does pricing, basically figures all the pieces by the square foot, and calculates, even down to oversized handling and sink cutouts and so forth. Minimums. They can pick the color that they want to quote, and then with that same website structure, then we also have a resource tab that they can go to get literature, sink information, care and maintenance, items like that. We currently do still have that going, but I'm very interested in learning what you guys have available, because we may be able to shut it down and start using this.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, that's helpful context and just knowing what people are using. So it sounds similar, maybe even to Quick Quote a little bit with maybe a little more intricacy. But yeah, thanks for sharing. Anyone else? Otherwise, I'm happy to dive in. All right, let's do it. So here is our dealer login main screen. So we'll go through how to set this up in a little bit, but this is what your dealer would have access to, and we've co-opted, you'll even notice up there in the top left, our new Spring interface, because the idea behind Spring and then also with this dealer login is it should be easy to use, and you've got your critical information all on this main screen here, and we've limited that just strategically so that your dealer will just have the information that they need to see. And so that information includes the job info there on the top left, customer name, contact info, email, etc. You've got your actions here in the bottom left. So this ties in with the process that you have outlined in your full action flow account. And we'll talk about a little bit of setting up those processes as well. So that just talks nicely back and forth. Your area here in the top right, and you'll notice that area setup is laid out a little differently. You've got the nice little preview of the area that you quoted there, and then payments there in the bottom right. So those are the 4 critical pieces that your dealer would see when they log in, that helps them to track the job as well as you. Just one thing to note, if a dealer were to click on an area that you had generated in your full action flow account, they would get this pop-up that says you're not permitted to go into that area because you've set up pricing maybe for that quote, and so we don't want to give the permission to the dealer to go in and change the pricing. So that's just one sort of housekeeping item, that if you set this up, you'd want to be aware that that error may pop up. Also on the dealer login and the Spring interface, we have this active jobs list, which I think is a really nice view. So when you click on that button, it opens this window. And in the case of the dealer logins, it's just a really nice view to see all of the jobs that are associated with that account and then the statuses of those respective jobs. So super easy way to see the jobs, see where they're at, and then using these blue arrows over here on the left, you can go to those various jobs. The account screen is similar to the account screen that you know from the full action flow, just gives you another view for seeing what jobs are associated with that dealer's account and what's going on there. And then finally, as the dealer logs in, this is the area configuration that they will see. Right off the bat, you'll notice it's mostly the same. So they have access to the customer layout, the line items, and the fabrication layout. But there are a couple of key differences. One, and we'll talk about this in a little bit with the setup, but you would probably want to set up a default price list that locks in that dealer to certain pricing so that they couldn't go in and change that and start giving out discounts left and right. So that's one change. We've also hidden cost and margin, again, to just limit what the dealer has access to seeing. And in a similar vein, there's no configuration options for the dealer. So typically in that box that I've highlighted, there's the settings gear where you can go in and edit your views, and we've taken that option away from dealers. Are there any questions here? I saw one in the chat, but it looks like it's been answered. Yes. Okay, great. Thanks, Reese. Finally, as far as just how it will look. Here is kind of a split screen of what a single job will look like in both views. So on the left side, you see the dealer login view. It's job 2326. And then on the right side, you see it in full action flow. So those jobs are just talking nicely back and forth to each other. The process is flowing. Quotes are coming back and forth. It's the same entity, but you'll see it in one way and your dealer will see it in another way. I will pause here for any other questions on the dealer login setup, as that is the primary aspects of what it would look like to the dealer.
Josiah, this is Roderick.
Yeah.
On the in the job module for the dealer login, in the job details, are they able to see the same job details and all the internal notes that are entered in the full action flow view?
I believe the answer is yes.
Okay, so there's a lot of critical information typically that is internal within that interface. So possibly maybe some of those fields could have a restriction on them like we do currently with installers or templators or contractors where they could not see that data. And the same thing then for the actions themselves. A lot of times actions and comments will have internal notes that really is not privy to a dealer login. What kind of controls do we have in mind for that?
So yeah, on the job details, going back to that, I'm pretty sure there would be I said they would have access. I think the default is that they would have access, but then I'm pretty confident that you could go in and limit what they have access to for the job details. For the actions,
be the same thing in account details, same idea. A lot of times account details, we've got custom fields set up there that are internal and should not be visible by a dealer login.
Right.
And that's how I'll just say that's helpful feedback. In regard to the actions, I will say there's only basically it's the accept, the fabricate, template, and install. Those are the only actions they would see. So you can, like in that left screen, there's just a few actions you indicate as accessible.
Okay.
And they shouldn't see all the rest. Yeah.
Okay, but a lot of times you'll have notes like in the install action or the template action that is really geared for the templater only. So that's what I was asking.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the best answer there is. If we want to, I mean, I think it'd be kind of nice to show the dealer when the install date is. So it'd be nice to show that action to them. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and just generally, this is good feedback, and it will be a little bit of a balance and hearing like, what is it you want them to see and not see? I mean, also in the quote area module itself, we've tried to hide the things that they shouldn't see, and I see Holly's asking about like that discount multiplier as well. So, and I understand that. So yeah, we'll probably be tweaking this and getting feedback as we go forward, just to try to show what needs to be shown and hide what should be hidden.
Right, because we have on the SKUs, there's many that are hidden from the customer. So hidden from the customer in this new dealer login should be respected as being hidden from the customer in that interface as well, as far as the lines go.
Yeah, that one's kind of tough. I mean, because we can hide it on the estimate, you can send an estimate where things are hidden. But right now, I didn't think about line items being hidden on the screen. Like that's not currently the hide that shows up for estimates is not currently applied to that area module. And like I'm not even sure how you would check something. Like if you did a quote and you were a dealer and you checked something and 4 line items were hidden,
Well, we're kind of getting into, I've tried to work with a couple of clients now on this, and that's been our stumbling block, is how to not open our pricing strategy to our dealers through this interface. When we publish a document and those hidden from customer line items don't appear and we just get a summary at the area level, we've achieved the desired result. By opening up the same suite of tools, which we need if we're doing slab pricing or whatever the case is, or discounts or whatever there is, then we get into opening up can of worms that so far the two accounts I've tried to implement this with have been unwilling to expose.
Yeah, I mean, I hear what you're saying. And maybe, maybe it'd even be something where, and there is like a certain price list that's associated with a dealer that they'll use by default. I mean, you could maybe have I don't know, like a reduced or a simplified price list, and then they do the quote there. And then
our thought was to build a price list that only has what they would call their stock colors, which are typically priced by the square foot. And any exotic colors or those priced by the slab would not be available for them to even quote upon for numbers of reasons, right? It has to do with how many percent you want to use in this area and how much percent on that area. So when you get into slab pricing, that's not really a simple area any longer. So that was our thought on that one. Do we build a price list for the dealers just for their stock colors or their collections, whatever they publish as being is priced by the square foot? So that was our thought process a week or two ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're stealing my thunder for the rest of the presentation, but that is that's right where I was going to go as well. But that makes sense.
That's only because you and I talked about this a week or two ago.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'll turn my mic off.
No, it's good. That makes my job easier. Anything? Yeah, any other feedback? So, Alan, I think your question is kind of looped into the same answer maybe there about hiding certain line items or cost. Yeah, we may be.
Well, I'm curious, like the Hector and I think maybe Alan from Medi, how did you both have used this, a similar tool? How did you deal with the issue of hiding stuff and displaying stuff that your dealers could see about your pricing?
So we have always hidden things because we feel less is more. If you start penciling out and telling them what they're paying for, well, let's just say an oversized handling charge. And, because we're going to carry a 6 foot by 10 foot island end, I can't do that with 2 guys. So I got to send extra guys, right? Like everyone else does. So we include that in the quote, but we don't point it out to them, because if we point it out, next thing you know, they want to say, well, I'll have my contractor there and he can help carry it in, take the $250 off. Well, that doesn't work, because then the contractor calls in sick, or he doesn't show, or he's running 2 hours late, so we just don't display any extra details. And we find it works best for our business.
So basically you just show the total for the quote. Is that it?
Yes. And then an option for backsplashes. If they want a certain sink, we might option out the sink price. If it's an expensive sink, only because, they may say, oh, they got a little sticker shock. Let me go ahead and go back to that free sink.
So, Alan, would it be fair to say that you would not want to disclose the area line item summary tab on the right-hand side? You'd maybe want to have a total as you're kind of building the job out, but you certainly wouldn't want to expose the details to your dealer.
Right. That is 100% correct.
That's kind of along the same lines as the conversations I've had with others as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have two sections.
If they print it, then it follows the same rules as your normal printing does. So you can still have the print version you can set a default print version, print report that you'd like to use for this dealer. And so that would disclose the level of details that you would have been willing to show anyways on the full action flow view that's internal. But the dealer view, the line item summary, you would probably want to hide and not expose the line item, individual line item information.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that might be because well, you mentioned that the summary on the right panel, and that's true. You're talking about it, but then there's also just the whole line items tab itself. And it seems like if we just hid those two things, or probably make it like there might be some people who don't mind if the dealers see that, but maybe if we just hid those two things, that would be a decent solution.
But again, Sam, I see your comment, Sam, but again, if you were to print it off, you would see those details there. Again, when you get into showing certain line item summary information, then you get into, well, this dealer wants to see this dealer wants to see that, and you'd end up building as many price lists with those rules as you have dealers, and that becomes a management nightmare. I mean, that's kind of where I come from when I look at adding more price lists. It's just more management of that as the way it goes. So anyway, that's my 2 cents worth.
All right, Josiah, why don't you go ahead and take us through the rest of it?
All right, yeah, and I think this will the end of it will flow in nicely with what we've been talking about. And if there's any more questions, I'm happy to stop. But I'm just gonna breeze through the setup, and as far as the admin setup goes, it's actually a pretty simple process, which is nice. Right away, you would just create a user for that dealer. So just like any other action flow user, and then you would attach this restricted to role to it. And that restricted to role is going to be what does a lot of the heavy lifting as far as the defaults go and how the views look. So a lot of that is built in there, and that's a nice way to just quickly set it up. And then once you have that restricted to role attached, you would go in and hit that select button, which pops up the restricted to accounts window. And from there, you would just choose the account that you're looking to attach that dealer to. Outside of that, you'll probably, as we've been talking about, want to go in to the account screen of your full action flow view and set a default price list. And then you also may want to set a default process as well for those dealers if you have actions that you do or don't use for said dealer. So as far as setup goes, it's very simple. And then, yeah, I just had a couple of key considerations here to wrap us up, and they are very much in line with what we've been talking about. So creating a dedicated price list. And my thinking is with this, to expound on what everyone else has said, is just that you are putting in the hard work up front, and we recognize the pain that comes with creating a price list, but hopefully after you've done that initial setup, having the dealer have access and creating the quotes is going to pay off in time. So that would be the hope there. And I think, yeah, there's still some things to work out with that price list, but the idea is if you can put in the work up front, then hopefully it'll pay out in time with the quotes that the dealers are able to get out that you don't have to anymore. I had this here, just talking like square foot based pricing would probably be the recommended avenue to go, just given the intricacies with slab based pricing. So kind of like what Roderick was talking about with the stock colors, I think would be your best route, at least as it stands currently. And then finally, we did have that restricted to role. If you needed additional configurability, if you wanted your dealers to see more, maybe less, There is a more involved setup process that you can go through. You could give them access to more tabs, so maybe the scheduler, maybe the grid view, whatever you were looking for, that is an option still. So you would just have to talk to your account manager to get that set up. And that wraps up what I had to say. I had a slide here for any questions or ongoing discussion. I see
Josiah,
there's some
two,
questions.
two questions again. This is Roderick.
Yeah.
One question is, are we able to build a restricted scheduler where they could see just their own templates and their own installs? That was my first question that I had on my list here. And the second is, what is the price point per month for a dealer login?
So first question, Reese, do you want to?
Yeah, I don't think we're going to put a scheduler on there. That's just trying to restrict that. I don't think is that. Well, I'm a little okay. Part of my conflict is I'm thinking about spring versus dealer logins. But right now, Josiah, do we hide the scheduler for the dealer logins?
Yes.
Yeah, because that's a little tricky to show and hide what you need. And also, we are showing they can see template and install and actions on the job, and they can also see it in the active job list. So it's not quite the same UI as a scheduler.
But if they wanted to see what was coming next week, Tuesday, as far as, delivering installs, the same thing. So you got a dealer that you're delivering your tops to because they do their own installs. So I'm thinking of Medi here. And so how would a dealer be able to log in and see exactly what's coming their way next Tuesday for delivery?
They should be able to see that on the active jobs list. It shows the dates, and you could even sort by install date and see which ones were coming.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll play with that. Okay.
And then as far as licensing, it would just be your per user price. So whatever you
price. It's a normal user login.
Yes.
Okay.
One user price.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like action, Holly, you're out talking about action comments. It would be, you could, if you wanted internal comments, it may be you would create a new action called internal comment or something like that and use that internally and just have your people, the action called literally comment is the one that would be visible. So I think if you would be able to configure that so they could only see the comments you intended them to see.
Anything else? I see you're typing, Holly. See a couple other people are typing, so.
And
And
I
yeah,
would, yeah,
oh yeah.
go ahead.
No. Thank you for the feedback. Like I said at the beginning, and hopefully it's come through. We're still trying to just fine tune what this looks like at its end state. So this feedback is very helpful in doing so.
Yeah, and I would just request like if Holly or you guys at Medi or Hector, any of you that are intrigued by it, I would request that you maybe dive into this and like pick one dealer that you're have an especially good relationship with and help us hammer this out, because I do, just to reiterate, I do think it could be a huge win-win for you all and for the dealers. Like if you could get just putting that initial quote information and address information and an initial view of what the drawing looks like, if your own employees did not have to do that, that would be a game saving lots of time. And then, just questions like if your dealers right now, they may call you up and ask, hey, when is the Smith job getting installed? They might prefer just to log in and check it themselves, and you would prefer not to be interrupted. So both getting the initial information in and communications, I think it could be a win-win. If we can get this to show just the right things, I think it could be a very valuable feature. So I would, request to help you and try to get this working well.
I had one more question on my list here. If a dealer is quoting, he's got 10, 15 quotes out there, and finally he gets to go ahead on one, how does he communicate that to an internal employee of the company that they're ready to proceed with this one as a real job and go from there? How does that work?
Okay, it looks like Elizabeth maybe asked the same thing. So there's like in that test, and I think we would have maybe an accept action. And I think you could, it doesn't have to be called literally accept, like some people might have job order, but there's an action that sets the status to a job to accept it. And then in your normal process automation, when you complete that action, it might trigger, follow up or schedule template or whatever. If this is working as we intend it, like if the dealer says this has been accepted, it should trigger those actions and people should be notified. The dealer won't see all that in theirs, but on your normal login, when your employees log in, you would get something added to your do now list. So you should be notified in your do now list, just like you would when a job is normally accepted.
So that would get triggered off the account assignee then? If you had a project manager or salesperson defined at the account level, they will be the ones that would get notified?
Yeah, whatever, like those, like, some people call it project manager or, customer service rep or sales rep. So all of those roles would still be assigned for that account, and all of that process would still work. So yeah, if a job gets accepted and then the project manager gets notified to schedule a template, that project manager should still get notified when the dealer clicks accept.
Yep. And then there's a couple questions from Sherry and Faith about how to setting it up, and is it is available. It's out there, so you would just set up a user to test, attach an account, and go through the steps that I outlined in the admin setup.
And one little secret about Action Flow is, we basically do our billing at the end of the month, like 3 days before the end of the month. So if you add a user in the middle of the month, that's not going to trigger a charge. So you could if you want, you could add a bunch of users. They can use it for the whole month, delete them at the end of the month, and then add them right back. No, that's a joke, but it's not a joke that if you do add a user, just to play around with it for the next 5 or 10 days, and then you delete that user before say the 25th or so, then you won't get charged for it. So if you want to just over the next week add a user and play with it, you could do that.
You mean take the register status off or delete the user?
Well, if you take the registered status off, then they can't log in. Oh, yeah, you mean, yeah, at the end of the month, they could, if they wanted to just take the registered status off, then
Right.
they would not get charged for it. Yeah, that would be one way, rather than deleting it.
I was not going to say that, but I'm glad you did.
Yeah, and Holly, I see you say, you're very excited about the potential for that. I am too, and I hope we can make it. Oh, I think I'm repeating myself now, but I hope we can make it valuable, but still restrict and hide the things that you don't want to see, so we can like strike that balance and offer something that's very valuable.
Can we ask one more question?
Oh yeah.
Sure.
Okay, and it's so Josiah, if you could go back on your slides back to that where it just had the job summary or job list. that the dealer's gonna see.
Mm-hmm.
And this would be more, I guess, for Reese and Roderick. So if we can restrict them and all we want them to see is this right here, to see what current jobs they have in our system, and if it's been accepted, if it's scheduled for template or scheduled for fabrication, or if it's been installed. Would this just be a view only, which would be at no cost compared to where they're actually doing their quotes and everything? And would be at the $50 or whatever it is per month?
Well, I mean, no, I mean, they would need to have a user. I'm not sure that I'm understanding your question, but they would need to have a user to log in to see this. So I think the answer is no, that they would need to have a user to log in to see this.
So is this the same screen that you're referring to earlier where they could see the template date? That
Yeah,
what's
if you
being
see,
delivered next Tuesday?
you see the button up at the top where it says show dates. This screenshot doesn't have.
Gotcha.
You,
Okay,
you can
very good.
flip that over
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then so right now it's just showing check boxes. So basically the checkbox means that it's been accepted and the calendar means it's scheduled. So the blue calendar, that third line, well, I guess there's lots of Bob Smiths, but the third line says that his job has been accepted and the template is scheduled. If you showed the dates, it would actually show the dates for those various things. And also, you know, if you notice, there's like the little funnels which allow you to filter, and you can sort. So you could like filter this to show just install dates, or sort by install date. So there's, again, it's not quite the same as the scheduler interface, but there is quite a bit of good information on here that you could see fairly easily.
Got a project, Alan, to look at next week.
Yeah. Yep, we just added more to our plate. I just like the zero cost better than the per monthly fee for just the viewing.
Light user for reading.
Right. Well, we did offer the read only. You could have, well, no, I was going to say we do have a read only user that, you know, lots of your employees can use, but, you know, there's I mean, obviously you would like something for free, but I would just say that, you know, there's a lot of work that we had to put in and that has to go into showing just the dealer information, like, and even, you know, there's 3 or 4 other things we still need to do. So there's a lot of work that is represented here, trying to take action flow and just show dealer information. So I think there's a whole lot of value there. So yeah, I understand we would all like free stuff, but I would say, you know, the $50 a month or whatever it is, the time savings and the benefits would be many, I would say that be many multiples of that, if we can get it working the way, showing you just what you need, and yeah, and time savings for you and your dealers. So yeah, we are
To put that in perspective, CounterGo is $100 a month, which achieves, CounterGo is what a lot of people use for their dealer logins, and you're looking at $100 a month. You don't have any of the job scheduling activities or anything, so.
You're not helping out, Roger.
I'm sorry, but I have to be fair. I walk down the middle. I represent you and I represent Action Flow, and my point is that at the end of the day, and Reese made the comment earlier, I think Josiah did too, is that there's huge cost savings benefit to rolling this out. There are things to consider, which Holly has brought up and Josiah has brought up, and I bring, you know, the things that are there, maybe it's not quite ready for prime time, but it is there. And I think if the takeaway from this meeting is, hey, we got to do a few little tweaks here and make sure that we don't hang our laundry out there and our dealers know everything about us, which is what we're trying to protect when we do that hide from customer and we have forms and all that kind of good stuff. So I think Reese and team is listening. But I think at the end of the day, it's going to be a very powerful feature. If you set up a third-party app like quote countertop, which is another popular one in the industry. I see that quite often with my Stone Profit customers. There's a monthly expense for that. And so I know that Medi built their own internally, but others who are purchasing it, there is a cost per month. And then you have to build a separate database, where at least here, the worst you got to do is build a separate price list, which is not a bad trade-off if all you're going to expose is your square foot or your collections and things of that nature.
The guy who makes all the price lists.
And then.
What was
and then
that? Sorry?
Coming from the guy who makes all the price lists, but.
That's fine, but if I had to build a price list knowing that this feature was going to bring you more work and going to increase your revenue and make it easier for your dealers, what the trade-off is not even, we're not even going to talk about the trade-off there. It's win-win.
One more quick question I have is the game plan that maybe you're looking for some beta testers on this, Reese, to give it a trial run and get some feedback from them?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
As we would be interested in that.
well, good. I mean, and I would say it's ready. Again, I think we've heard some feedback that kind of makes sense, and so we'll be making some changes, but it's ready to test. So I would, if you have the time, go in tomorrow or go in this afternoon and just create a user and attach that role of restricted to, and then what I would suggest is just create a fake account or a fake dealer, test dealer or test ABC, and then create a user that's in that dealer. And then, yeah, you can do a lot of the testing yourself just by logging. And then once you create that user, when you create the user, you'll create a password. So you'll go in as an action flow administrator, create this user, and then you can log out and log back in as that user you just created. And then you'll see, what that user would see, and you can test what that dealer would test. So just create a dealer login and you guys use it and see what feedback you have.
I think I would just create an actual usable one. That way that stuff can transfer over. We can see it on both sides. Yeah. We can see it live that way. We just won't give them the login.
Yeah, that's true. You could create it for a dealer that's actually there. And in fact, now that you mentioned it, that probably makes more sense, because you're right. They would have no idea that you were doing that, so there'd be no damage.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds
Yeah,
good.
then Sherry, I see your message too. We'll include that as just part of our larger feedback, and yeah, there will be more communication coming out on this. But I did say that I can send out like a survey link for feedback if you guys go in and test. So with the recording, I'll make sure to send that out so that there's an avenue at least to submit that feedback. Right, Sherry's typing one. Yeah, thank you, Sherry, and thank you all for your feedback and input. I think it has all been said, unless we need to say anything else.
Well,
Yeah,
thank
thanks,
you.
Ali. Awesome. All right. Well, have a great rest of your week, and I will get this stuff out to you within the next couple of days.
Thanks, Josiah.
Thanks, Josiah.
Thanks.
Good job.
Yeah.
Thanks, Roger.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Josiah. Thanks, Reese.
Thanks, Hector.